Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your premier source for Second Amendment news. Busy day yesterday, put out 3 videos. Thank you all for watching it, for watching those videos. Some big news came out yesterday about the NRA. If you haven't seen that, watch that video, please. I'll link it above. But let's move on to an update on what has become a very high-profile case, Second Amendment-wise here, and that is, again, the McCloskeys in St. Louis. I have a playlist I'll put up above that has all of the videos I've done since this incident took place, and there was some movement in this case Friday, and I had to wait a couple days so that I could actually get the briefs that I'm about to tell you about. So we know that the Attorney General for Missouri, Eric Schmidt, came out in defense of this couple, saying that what they did was lawful, and they had not only the Second Amendment on their side, not only the Missouri state constitution on their side, but they also had Missouri's castle doctrine on their side. And he said what they did in the face of what they were confronted with was an appropriate response. Feelings for those people who don't agree aside, the law says that response was justified. Now, a lot has happened since then. It's turned into a political death race, I guess. You have all of the lefties, the anti-gunners, coming out in backing the circuit attorney there, Kimberly Gardner. And you have a lot of the pro-freedom folks, or those looking for re-election as well, on both sides, coming to defense of the couple, the McCloskeys, and the AG. You even have a U.S. senator who has come out and said there should be an investigation into a civil rights violation on behalf of Gardner against the McCloskeys. Now, you also have the governor of Missouri, who has come out and said that if they are convicted, that he would more than likely pardon them. And the problem being is that he can't take action until if and when they are convicted. The case is still pending. The charges are still lodged against the couple, and their first court date is scheduled for August 31st. Now, on August 31st, they will be before Judge Michael Colonna, C-O-L-O-N-A. So if you're in Missouri, St. Louis area, and you know who this judge is, let us know if this judge is a sandbagger for Gardner and the attackees, or if it's somebody who might have freedom-oriented thoughts. So that gets us up to date of where the case is, and the charges are still there. Now let's get into what each side is saying. So the Attorney General has stepped in, saying that this case should be dismissed on its merits because it goes against the Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, the Missouri Constitution, and the Castle Doctrine. He also says in his brief that he believes that it is appropriate for him to weigh in as the chief law enforcement agent in the state, so that the state's point of view was known early on. Now, Gardner, who's come out since then, doesn't like the fact that somebody above her doesn't like her agenda-driven edict style of enforcement. She says, number one, that the AG's brief reads like a press release, and he's basically asking the court to serve as the AG's publicist. Kind of a stretch, but it sounds like she's a little butthurt. Now, in her brief, in response to the AG's brief, she says, to be clear, this prosecution has nothing to do with the abridgment of any constitutional right. I don't think she's gotten past the First Amendment. If any part of our Constitution is implicated, it's the First Amendment, which guarantees the right of speech and assembly that cannot be said to be freely exercised when those who disagree with us resort to brandishing lethal weapons rather than engaging in civil discourse. So we are quite a ways removed from the actual incident, and to this date, the Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner refuses to acknowledge the fact that the group, the mob, of the rioters broke through the fence. Even if you don't think they broke the fence, they entered private property, which they don't belong. They don't live in that area. They are then trespassing. They were on this couple's property. They were lodging threats. Some of them allegedly, according to the statements made by the McCloskeys, they saw weapons in the crowd and body armor. People were threatening to kill them, burn their house down, kill their dog, live in their house when they're dead. Ms. Gardner, you have to take all the facts. You can't just take the facts that George Soros wants you to believe or that Black Lives Matter wants you to push out there. We have to be real on this. And the fact that she said, when those who disagree with us resort to brandishing lethal weapons, she kind of tells you what side she's chosen already. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the argument part of the Attorney General's brief and why he says that this case should be thrown out. I'll have a link to these briefs below, so if you want to read them, the AGs is 12 pages times 2, because there's one for each of the McCloskeys, and then the rebuttal from the circuit attorney, I think it was 15 pages. But this is the AG's one on the argument section. It says, this criminal case is extraordinary. Based on widely reported facts, the prosecution targets conduct explicitly protected by the United States Constitution, the Missouri Constitution, and Missouri statutes setting forth the Castle Doctrine for self-defense. In other words, this is not just a case of the government retaliating against a Missouri citizen for exercising a fundamental right, which would be bad enough. Instead, this is a case where the prosecutor contends that exercising the right to keep and bear arms in self-defense, one of Missouri's most fundamental freedoms, is itself a crime. As long as this case continues, it will send a public message to all Missourians that if they dare to exercise their fundamental right to keep and bear arms in defense of family and home, they may be prosecuted and sent to prison. It's hard to imagine a more crippling deterrent to the exercise of fundamental rights. Public policy dictates the speedy dismissal of this case. It then goes into a lot of cases and stuff like that that back up his argument there. Now, Gardner's amicus brief, the rebuttal to the AGs asking for it to be dismissed, is a kind of a woe is me type beginning. It says, he's come out and said, I'm not doing things right and that my actions are politically based and blah, 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 blah. Please don't listen to him. And then this is where things get interesting when I read this. It says, but this is her speaking, but this case presents no constitutional question. Really? She then goes on to say about the Castle Doctrine that it is a self-defense defense, and then that can't be decided unless it's at trial, and it's up to a jury to decide that. She says that the court should strike the brief because there is currently no issue for the court to decide. She's saying that you can't dismiss the case because it hasn't even got to the first court case, which absolutely you can, because I've seen cases dismissed like within charges drop within an hour and cases dismissed the very next day. So you can do it. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Actually, she does know what she's talking about. She's just trying to hide the truth. She also says that there is sufficient probable cause to maintain the charge, and she basically begs for them to dismiss the Attorney General. That's where we stand on this case. We'll see if the court kicks it out sometime in the next week to week and a half. If they don't in that time frame, it's more than likely going to head to its first appearance before a judge on the 31st of August. All right, guys, let me know what you think on this one. Until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry your weapon, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And for those of you who have subscribed, please check, double check, and triple check, because YouTube's playing them games. All right, guys, have a great one. Take care.